Welcome to Political Beatdown.
Hmm.
The return of Michael Cohen is here. Michael, I'm just so glad that you're back. We had an incredible Political Beatdown Patreon, and where you got to meet all of the brigaders who are members of our Patreon. We should do that. Let's do that first thing next week as well.
140 people. We had 140 Patreon subscribers
the Patreon
with us.
membership.
I was impressed. I really was.
We got through most of the questions for that exclusive meetup. So, and it helps grow. And a lot of people watch it after. So thank you to everybody. Cohen, before we get into today's news and this week's news and Donald Trump botching softball interviews from Fox and others, I want to just hear from you again. It's now Thursday when we're recording this. We're basically 1 week out now, right, from when the verdict, almost to the minute, right? This was the exact time last Thursday. So I remember I was doing Political Beatdown with Dina Dahl when we heard there was a verdict. So as you reflect on the 1 week that's transpired, what's your one? How are you doing first? Let's start there.
It's as I said to all of our Patreon subscribers, because that's obviously a question, and I'm thankful to have this community who actually cares. It's not like you wake up one day and the anxiety is over, that all of a sudden 6 years worth of the pain and the anxiety is just now all over. It's going to take a while in order to try to sort of get back to some sense of normalcy. And, one of the things, Ben, that I do is, I like to write. So I'll sit down and while I'm watching television, I'm watching on Netflix, Viking, and as I'm watching Viking, I just, I start scratching out little notes and I start, I hate to like talking to myself and putting together thoughts and ideas, because I'm going to work on now the creation of a third book. It'll be the trilogy and the final to both Disloyal and to Revenge. So I'll share with you, if I can, just some quick thoughts that I came up with. I'd love to get yours and the Brigaders' thoughts on it. Obviously, I talk about, I know Donald Trump better than anyone else in the world. And I'm here to tell you that he is a dangerous and unfit man to be president. In my books, Disloyal and Revenge, I expose Donald Trump for the fraud and criminal that he is. I reveal his lies, his cheating, and his corruption. I also show how he's willing to use his power to hurt anyone who stands in his way. Now, I'm not going to repeat myself here by going through all of the specific stories and examples that I document in my books, but I will say this: Donald Trump is the most corrupt and dishonest president in America's history. He is currently a threat to our democracy, and we must not allow him to remain in office ever again. That should say for allow him to gain office ever again. And here are just a few examples of Donald Trump's lawlessness and corruption that we should take into account as we move forward in the upcoming election. 1, he cheated on the 2020 election, refused to concede when he lost. He obstructed justice by trying to cover up his crimes. He abused his power by pressuring Ukraine to investigate his political rivals. Let's not forget, he used the presidency to enrich himself and his family. He pardoned his cronies and allies who had been convicted of crimes. And he attacked the media and the judiciary relentlessly, trying to undermine our democratic institutions. So again, Donald Trump is a danger to our democracy, and we must never, ever allow him to sit in the Oval Office ever again. That was just like one little sort of scratch paragraph that I came up with. Then I just sort of finished it that someday, with any luck, the Trump brand and Trump himself will be a thing of the past, like the BlackBerry or MySpace. Someday, Trump and the Trump brand will be so tarnished that not even the most diehard MAGA will admit to having once been a fan. That day cannot come soon enough, but when deciding who to vote for in 2024 in a Biden-Trump rematch, I like what President Biden says. Do not compare me to the Almighty. Compare me to the alternative. And we all know that if Trump ever darkens the White House doorstep again, it will be a failure for the American people. It will be a failure that we can never come back from. And it will be the end of our democracy. So let's face it, there is no alternative. There's only Biden-Harris in 2024.
I think that's so powerful and really cool that you're sharing it in a draft form with the Beatdown Brigaders right there. Keep us posted. I don't want you to give away the full book here on Political Beatdown because
well,
I
that's
still want to
really
see
a
it
paragraph, and that paragraph is going to get probably edited 4 or 5 more times. That's just, again, as I'm watching the Vikings slaughter a whole slew of people with axes and swords. It's a violent show, but it's fantastic.
Well, I'm super excited for the third book to be released. Let's compare President Biden, though, to the alternative, shall we? Fox has been doing all of these propaganda pieces for Donald Trump since Trump became a convicted felon, right? There used to be a time in our history where all of the kind of major networks out there, and it's sad to say that Fox is considered a major network, would agree to the objective reality of the fact that Donald Trump being a convicted felon is a disqualifying thing. And then even as you look deeper to what he was convicted of, that his conduct is so unbecoming of anyone, yet alone the highest office in our land. But Fox rushes to do these propaganda pieces. They quite literally try to coach Donald Trump on what to say. They edit it to make Donald Trump, or try to make Donald Trump look good, which they cannot ever do. But here in one of these softball interviews with Donald Trump, it's so revealing. So they ask him about whether he would declassify certain files. And then they ask him, so would you declassify the Epstein file? You never hedge on a question about Jeffrey Epstein. I want you to listen to what Donald Trump said, though, when he was asked if he would declassify the Epstein files. This is from an interview recently with Fox Propaganda. Let's play it.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
A lot of...
He's so unbelievable. Sure. Got to protect yourself. Plus he wants to protect the people that are right now, some of these billionaires that are funding this $151 million, alleged capital raise since the convictions came out. But, he's so dangerous, Ben, in the things that he says. First of all, let me be very clear about something. And we all know it because we all were alive over the course of Donald's 4 years from 2016 to 2020. I happen to be somebody that reads a lot. And I can assure you, if there was any information that came out about the JFK assassination, I would have read it because I've read books about it. I'm interested to see what really took place there. Has he released any information? No. The guy lies about stupid shit. It's unbelievable. He'll lie about the classification of certain documents that he took that he shouldn't, and he'll lie about stupid things like this. Like the fact that he declassified something and he put it out there. I did it. I did some of it. No, you didn't. No, he didn't. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. It's like, why But why not just say the truth? Yeah, okay, I would do it this time around. I would do it. I thought about it last time. I didn't think it was the right thing to do, but now I think I'm going to do it. Right? I mean, instead of quibbling, see, that's the thing. When you are being asked a question, don't quibble. Just tell the truth. It's easier because when you quibble, you look worse than the liar that you are. All right. That's the whole thing. And that's a strategy that he just doesn't understand.
Trump saying there is a ton of fake and phony accusations about Jeffrey Epstein. That's not true. There's no follow-up question. What fake and phony things are you saying are about Jeffrey Epstein? And they let him get away with that. Donald Trump continues to hedge about whether I probably won't declassify all of it. And then that doesn't become like a major story. I mean, look, we know the history that Trump and Epstein were not just friends, but like almost like best friends. They partied together. They hung out together. Some of Epstein's victims previously worked at Mar-a-Lago, like Virginia Giuffre and others. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell provided women to Donald Trump. That was written about contemporaneously. So, I mean, all of that's out there. We know that the flight logs have Donald Trump on Epstein's plane over and over again. And by the way, we have Donald Trump's own words, right? I mean, Donald Trump, first off, he said that Epstein's a great guy and likes women on the younger side in 2002. It's a direct quote from Donald Trump. And then Trump would go on shows like Howard Stern, and Trump would brag about inspecting naked teenage girls from his pageant. And he would say that, oh yeah, I can inspect them. And they let you get away with it when you're the head of the pageant. Like, this is just, I'm not going to go and show you all of these interviews because I do a lot of hot takes where I go through this stuff. But just here's an example of Trump from 2005 on the Howard Stern show, where he talks about inspecting naked teenagers who are from his pageant. I'll show you this.
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things.
Cohen, you said it on the last show. You said, as a father to a daughter, as a husband to a wife, as someone whose women have played pivotal roles in your life, just as a human being, you said, like, how could someone hear that stuff and go, you know what? That guy, now a convicted felon, but that guy bragging about inspecting naked teenage girls? You're going to say,
Ben, what do we already know? What do we know as a direct result of the E. Jean Carroll decision? He's a predator, plain and simple. So you have a twice impeached, 4-time indicted, 34-count criminal, civilly held accountable rapist that is a predator. Yeah, that's exactly who the fuck you should want for your president. Are you shitting me? The fact that this guy could even be in the race, to me, is so absurd. I cannot believe what's going on in this country right now. And to make matters even worse, I don't know if you saw this, but MAGA Mike Johnson went ahead and they just put, who was it, Perry and Jackson, appointed these two assholes, right, to the House Intel Committee. What do you think is going to come next? What do you think is going to end up coming next? They're going to turn around and they're going to start now, as the Republicans said, what we need to do. I mean, this is their motto now. We want all Republican district attorneys to start bringing charges against Democrats in that state and other states for various crimes. Of course, they don't tell you what the crimes are. The fuck are they saying? Make it up? What are they saying? That maybe because Ben Meiselas is doing well on the Midas Touch Network, and because we talk about von Schitzenpants means that he should be now brought into committee, and he should, or worse than that, have a DA charge him with some sort of a crime. This is the whole problem. And I've been speaking to a couple of members of Congress, and I have said to them, you do not know Donald Trump. You may all think that you do, but you don't know him like I do. Why? Because one, I sat next to the guy for over a decade. And two, because I am the recipient of what he intends to do if, God forbid, a million times he gets back into office. He is going to create fake, counterfeit, fraudulent documents like they did that was sent to Adam Pakula and Enid Phoebus over at Bureau of Prisons, Department of Correction, through the Justice Department, from Bill Barr and all the way down. He is going to have them say, well, Mr. Meiselas, you need to sign this document. You say, what the fuck is this document? Doesn't make a difference. Yeah, but it's violating not only my First Amendment, my Second Amendment, my Third, my Fourth, my Fifth, my Sixth, whatever amendment, maybe it's all of them. And you say, I can't sign this. And you can be there sitting with your lawyer. It doesn't make a difference. What ends up happening? You sit, you wait for them to come back to you with maybe some changes that, would make it less unconstitutional, and you get handcuffed and shackled and thrown into solitary confinement. This is what Donald Trump keeps telling the American people again and again and again. And people are saying, that's just Donald. He doesn't mean it. Fuck, he doesn't mean it. He did it to me already. It's not that he hasn't done it once. He has. And worse than that, he's going to do it again. You see, for me, the easiest thing would be keep my mouth shut, walk away, stop talking, stop being a witness to all of these things. The only two cases outside of E. Jean Carroll's civil case that have been that have gone through and held Donald accountable, the New York Attorney General civil case, $500 million, and the closure of what should be the closure soon of his corporate entity in at least the state of New York, as well as the ban to his kids from being part of boards or companies or foundations, and what we all know, the 34-count criminal case. The only two cases. He has managed to delay Georgia, D.C., and Florida. He's managed to basically put them on ice until after the election. I mean, there's no justice when it comes to this guy, except for the cases that I have been involved with as a key witness. But you know what? Let's see what happens on July 11th. And I don't want to hear from anybody anymore. I go out on the street, I walk, I sit with some friends, I have my coffee. I'm like an old man. All right, meet my friends. We're not playing pinochle or canasta or bridge or whatever, or rummy, or gin. I'm not playing any of that. I sit out there with them. We talk business, and we grab a cup of coffee together for a little bit of time. I hate it when they say, yeah, but I don't think he's going to end up, being held accountable. We have to see. What the fuck? 34 counts where he's guilty? What do you mean he's not gonna be held accountable? I don't know why people are saying this sort of stuff. First of all, it's defeatist. Second of all, it's bullshit. Of course he's gonna be held accountable. You would be. I certainly was. Anybody else would already have their ass locked up. You'd be wearing an orange jumpsuit.
I think it's because they're getting the corporate media. They're getting, well said. I mean, they're getting the corporate media narratives, right? The same corporate media narratives that said that you weren't going to do well on the stand. And then when there was the one question about whether there were multiple topics in the phone call, the corporate media was like, this was a Perry Mason moment. There's going to be an acquittal. And I was speaking to everybody in the courtroom, and I was like, all I heard was that Cohen's been telling the truth. It's been a very steady testimony from Cohen, and that Donald Trump's lawyers are not doing well at all. But the corporate media had to cover for their narrative, right? That you weren't going to do well on the stand. That was their narrative, that you were going to behave the way Trump's MAGA lawyer, Robert Costello, ended up behaving. Then you didn't, and nor were you going to act that way, because that's not who you are. And we all know that. So rather than follow the data, don't get me wrong, corporate media loves to have you on, for their ratings. But then when you're not on, they lie about you and they say all of these things that aren't accurate about you.
It's funny that you say that. I'm going to bring it up. So, I got a phone call the other day from CNN and they were like, oh, Mr. Cohen, hi, how are you? It's so-and-so from CNN, so-and-so's program. I said, oh, hey, how are you? Like, oh, we'd love to get you on tonight. So, and it's later at night and all that. And I turned around and I was like, yeah, no, thank you. Oh, well, how about tomorrow? If you're busy, yeah, how about no, thank you again? Why? And I said, because I think your station sucks. Now, I said, other than Erin Burnett, whose show I'll go on anytime she asks me, the only one that I'll go on is Erin. I hate the format that CNN has created. I hate the fact that they put people on who should never be on. It's no different than Ari Melber on MSNBC. I'll never go on his show ever again. The fact that he could bring on an ass clown like Michael Avenatti to make a determination on innocence or guilt or credibility or honesty. This fucking guy, he stole from his own client. I never took $1 from anybody. I paid money out. I went to prison for paying somebody. This guy went to prison trying to extort Nike. He went to prison for stealing money from clients, especially one that was a paraplegic. He took money from Stormy Daniels. All of a sudden, this guy is a Talmud Chacham. This is the guy that you go to in order to ask him, hey, talk to me about Michael Cohen. All Ari was doing with that is trying to go for ratings. And you know what? He failed. Even people in his own, on MSNBC, on NBC, still can't figure out what the hell this idiot was thinking. What was he possibly thinking? Why would you go ahead and do something like that? It makes no sense. Again, it's like calling up Jeffrey Dahmer for what are you going to have for dinner? It's fucking stupid. He's stupid. And you know what? This bullshit where, I want to have, open and fair dialogue. I want both sides. There is not two sides to this story. There is merely truth. It's as stupid, Ari. So when you're watching this, because, we get better ratings here than you, when you're watching this, it's as stupid as Donald Trump in Charlottesville refusing to denounce David Duke and the Nazis and saying that there are good people on both sides. There are not. It's one side or the other. And for that, I say, fuck you.
And look, if he made a mistake, he's clearly wrong. Eli Honig was wrong. There were many others who were wrong in their coverage, right? There were people.
I was getting an applause. Thank you very much.
They were wrong. But then when you're wrong, you can go on and you can say, I got this wrong. I kind of got high on my own supply and I thought it was something. I misled you all. I apologize. My analysis was incorrect. Here's why I thought that was the case. Here's what happened. But Cohen, they don't do that. They double down, they triple down. And then one of the bigger problems, by doubling down and tripling down because they're pushing this narrative, then they're used by the right-wing propaganda networks who say, look, see, then you have a CNN person who's saying it's rigged. You have even an MSNBC
Donald
person.
Trump did exactly that. He read from a group of faxes that his fax person at the time of trial, afterwards, he went out and he started reading, and he goes, even Eli Honig, he goes, the lawyer, I can't believe it, the CNN lawyer turned around and said the following. And I'm like, what? I'm like, did he really? And then it's like, none of them acknowledged that they made, who acknowledged that he made a mistake? That he was dead ass wrong across the board? Dan Abrams, the only guy who turned around and said. The rest of them, now all these folks on CNN, Tara, whatever her name is, Paula Reed, Kara Scannell, all of them, they sit there and they instead of acknowledging, well, I called that one wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make a mistake. What it's not okay to do is try to spin it where you're turning around and you're telling the population, you're telling your viewers, Well, that's not exactly what I was saying. What I was saying is, I don't think that the case has the merit that Alvin Bragg thought. Well, guess what, schmuck? 34 verdict of 34 guilty, all right, by 12 independent jurors. So what you thought is irrelevant. In fact, any good journalist would turn and tell you, I'm not here to sort of, create a hypothetical situation. I don't know what the jury is going to say, right? I don't know what Judge Merchan is going to sentence Trump on the 11th. Now we can say if it was you, if it was me, you would be looking at somewhere under 4 years for the 34 counts. That's just the way it is. It's 4 years, and it all runs consecutive per each one of the counts. But since they're all similar or identical in nature, then it all runs concurrent. So it's a max of 48 months. Okay. My guess means what? Nothing. It means nothing. Why am I guessing on what it is? Kick back. We got 34 counts of guilty. Relax. It'll be something. Now let's give Judge Merchan the freedom, the air to breathe so he can make a decision that is judicious, that is Solomonian, taking into account, one, that Donald Trump was a former president, all right, whether you like that or not, he was, but taking into account, because he was a former president, that he needs to be held accountable so that all Americans understand that no one is above the law, not a president, not a member of Congress, nobody, and that he had an obligation even greater than you and I to do the right thing, right? Because he held the position of power over this entire country. So who knows what Merchan's going to do? And they spend so much time, Ben, talking about things like, oh, well, I think that Judge Merchan's going to give him a suspended sentence. Or I think that Donald Trump is going to end up with community service. He'll have to clean toilets, or he'll have to pick up garbage in the park or on the highway and so on. Really? Really? Now, it's sort of like a mental masturbation where everybody's like, oh my God, that would be great to see him on the side of the road with one of those little tweakers that you're picking up garbage and so on. It certainly would humble him. But what's the chance that that's really going to happen? I don't know. Maybe it's 100%. Maybe it's 0. I'm not here to give hypotheticals. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to wait for Judge Merchan, he's a real judge's judge. And he's going to come up with the decision on the 11th, and then we will all know. And then you and I, Ben, will be talking about it to our brigaders. But rest assured, it's not going to be nothing. It can't be nothing. 34 counts of guilt, criminal. It cannot be nothing. So take solace in that.
Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyers earlier this week filed a motion to lift the gag order. And specifically in this motion, Trump's lawyers requested to do so that Donald Trump can attack you and can attack Stormy Daniels. That's actually in their motion. I want to get your response to that. Try to understand what your take is with Donald Trump wanting to do that. Let's talk about that and more, but let's take our first quick break of the show.
It's hot outside, and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA, and they use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. And you know what? They feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature, again, all night long, no matter the weather, so that you get better sleep every single night. Stop sleeping on bacteria. bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. I mean, sleep clean with Miracle. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7%, get a look, 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. So there's no more gross odors too. Go to trymiracle.com/beat to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save, get a load of this, an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Now upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. And go to trymiracle.com/beat and use the code BEAT to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/beat to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
As you know, I'm a video editor, podcaster, and co-founder of the Midas Touch Network. We're all doing a lot. Living a more heart-healthy life fuels everything you do. Introducing 3-in-1 blood pressure support plus CoQ10 from Super Beats Heart Chews Advanced. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the grapeseed extract in Super Beats is clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. New Super Beats Heart Chews Advanced supports healthy CoQ10 level, an important nutrient for heart health. Super Beats Heart Chews are incredibly delicious and so much better than any alternative supplements out there. I take my Super Beats Heart Chews each morning, and it's really kickstarted my morning routine. After taking my Super Beats Heart Chews, I feel like I have more energy and I'm ready to take on the day. CoQ10 generates 95% of the cellular energy your heart needs, but it can decline with age, stress, and statin use. Super Beats Heart Chews Advanced is effective and contains clinically researched ingredients from Super Beats, the #1 doctor, pharmacist, and cardiologist recommended beet brand for cardiovascular health support. Find out how you can get a free 30-day supply on bundles of new Super Beats Heart Chews Advanced and save 15% for a limited time only by going to Super Beats Radio, promo code BEAT. That's super, BEETS, radio.com, promo code BEAT, and that promo code is BEAT.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown. Thank you to our pro-democracy sponsors. The discount codes are in the description below. Michael Cohen, before the break, I was talking about Donald Trump's motion to lift the gag order in the Manhattan criminal case. He says trial is over, and now he wants to be able to attack you and Stormy Daniels, the judge's daughter, the jury, and others publicly. I want to get your reaction to his motion.
Look, he's been attacking me for the past 6 years, since July of 2018, July 1st to be exact, when I was with George Stephanopoulos. And I gave the interview when I said that my wife, my daughter, my son, and my country have my first loyalty, and they always will. And from that moment, when I really made the mental break away from the Trump cult, he's been attacking me. A rat, a liar, a felon, a thief, a this, a that. He has no effect on me at all. All right. Recently, you may have seen his MAGA morons doxed me. It was over. Spoke to the police department to make sure. And Ben, you know what I'm talking about here. After doxing, what they do in doxing is when they put out your personal information, your home address, your email, your cell phone numbers. They've done it to other members of my family. But after that, what they do is they do what's called swatting. And that's where they call up the police department, making claims that there's a gun in my apartment, or that somebody in my apartment is screaming and crying, that they're being threatened, so that the police come there in full tactical gear in order to protect a potential injured person. All right. People get hurt that way. Well, I've already notified the local police department that I have been doxxed, and it's already been verified and proven. And I've, given them all the information. They have my cell number at the precinct, my wife, my children, and so on. So, he has zero effect upon me. I will not stop to do what's necessary in order to ensure that he is held accountable. All right. We've already done it now, not once, not twice, but 3 times. All right. Remember, I sued him for the legal fees and won. I was the key witness in the New York Attorney General case that ultimately determined his business $500 million owed to New York, to the state of New York. And now that, of course, is the civil case. Now the criminal. I'm not going to stop. All right. I'm just not. I don't care if, as far as I'm concerned, he's doing it anyway. So he's not the one that's doing it. He's got his MAGA moronic members of Congress that are doing it. I mean, the fact that they now put 2 additional, members onto these committees. I mean, this is not a joke. It's not a joke. It is the future of this country. And sometimes when I even listen to myself, talking about this or on my Mea Culpa podcast, and I say to myself, holy shit, I sound so hyperbolic, in terms of, it's like a bad episode of, one of these television shows like, what's the one with Kevin Spacey and so on? The hell's the name of that show? Anyway, it's to me, it seems so House of Cards, right? Thank you there. It seems to me so House of Cardish. It's so dystopian. But then I stop for a second and I think, oh my God, it's not that I think this is happening. It is happening. And that's a real problem.
Cohen, as we're live right now, we're getting multiple reports of people being carried off in stretchers at Trump's rally because of the heat in Arizona. Trump scheduled this event in the middle of the afternoon. It's 102 degrees out, and the media that's there is reporting are at 3, maybe more people due to, heat issues are being carried off in stretchers. I mean, it just goes to show you, when it comes to Donald Trump, there's zero planning at all. And he probably doesn't give a crap at all about the MAGAs who are out there right now getting medical attention. And there's a question that I have, which is, I wonder if Donald Trump and the campaign is going to be reimbursing the Phoenix Fire Department for all of the EMT services that are being utilized right now as we speak. This is a developing story, folks, but we're hearing a lot about people having serious heat exhaustion because the Trump event, they decided, let's do this in a 102-degree day so that Donald Trump can try to spread his propaganda after becoming a convicted felon. We'll give you updates as we learn more. I want to share this with you as well, Michael Cohen. This is from the Sean Hannity propaganda piece where Trump was just so entirely unhinged, where he's attacking Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer and says that Chuck Schumer has become a Palestinian, is what Donald Trump said. And this is supposed to be a softball interview, and then Donald Trump uses the word Palestinian as a pejorative, as an insult to attack Chuck Schumer. Just goes to show you where Trump is on all of these issues. But this is supposed to be a softball.
Yes, but don't worry, because Donald is doing better with the Muslim community, especially like in states like Michigan. I mean, do they not see the reality?
Let's play the clip.
That they once had.
You'll give it to them.
Yeah, I'm good. But they don't have the backing. Even Schumer has become like a Palestinian. Chuck Schumer, Jewish, always strong for Israel. He's become like a Palestinian.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean? And to my friends who are Palestinian, and I have quite a few, I'm sorry. I really am. I am sorry that an idiot like Donald Trump has a megaphone and he has a platform to continue to say stupid things like he's saying. He's not saying, Chuck Schumer is a Palestinian. I don't even really understand the depth of what he's trying to say here. That that they are that they're all bad, that they're all terrorists, that they're trying to kill people. I don't understand that they're out of control. What is he saying, Ben? Help me out here.
I think the implication is exactly what you said, but you know how Donald Trump uses the words and phrases to try to hedge. He says everything and nothing all at the very same time. Here, Hannity's trying to coach Donald Trump to basically say, you don't really mean you want to be a dictator. You were just joking, right? And then Hannity tries to interject multiple times to say, so you don't want that, right? And Trump can't even take the coaching. I want you to watch this moment where Hannity says, you said you'll be a dictator on day one, but you don't really mean that right here. Let's play this clip.
You said I would be dictator for the day and just to secure the border and drill for oil. I thought it was tongue-in-cheek. I was sitting there with you. However, my question is a very serious one. People are claiming you want retribution. People are claiming you want what has happened to you done to Democrats. Would you do that ever?
Look, what's happened to me has never happened in this country before. And it has to stop because...
Wait a minute. I want to hear that again. It has to stop.
Well, it does have to stop because we're not going to have a country
And if you're
anymore.
elected, what does that mean? Define that.
Look, what I've gone through, nobody's ever gone through. I'm a very legitimate person. I built a great business. I have been under siege. Nobody's ever seen anything like this in this country. Now, in other countries,
I call bullshit on that. In fact, I call such bullshit on that statement that I think it's only fair that the two-finger salute goes to von Schitzenpants immediately. Not only for the bullshit lies that he says here, but for his disrespect of the veterans that are buried in France when he could not make it out there because it was raining and he didn't want to get that comb over the flip-flap-flop wet. So for that and for the disrespect to all people in the armed services, all right, who have ever served this country to protect our democracy, to protect his democracy when Buck Private Bone Spur ended up getting a note to get a 4F. Honestly, von Schitzenpants, fuck you. Let's all together I know I can't see you. You can see me, but let us all together raise our two hands and give von Schitzenpants the two-finger salute.
We're learning now that there have actually been 6 people attending the Trump event in Arizona, from 3 to 6, who have now been carried out in stretchers due to the extreme heat right there. It should be noted as well that Donald Trump will be giving a speech this weekend on Sunday in Las Vegas, where the temperature is expected to be 109 degrees. Donald Trump will be doing this outside in Sunset Park, despite Donald Trump claiming that he's taken in $200 million in donations, which I call total BS on. He's doing it in a public park to avoid the costs, where we expect the temperatures there to be 109. Right now in Arizona, it is 102. 6 people have been carried out in stretchers. I believe Donald Trump's going to be attending a fundraiser tonight by that kind of weirdo propagandist, podcaster, purported billionaire David Sachs, who just went totally off the deep end, or maybe he was always off the deep end.
Ben, can we just jump into something before we sort of wrap up and so on?
Of course.
When I was talking about CNN and so on, and for whatever reason that they have gone right of center, thinking that they're going to pick up maybe some of the Fox, people who've just had enough and whatever the hell. Did you get a chance to see George Conway, who I've had on my Mea Culpa podcast, who I have known personally longer than I even know Donald Trump? A lot of people don't know that, who is a brilliant brilliant lawyer. Did you see him eviscerate Scott Jennings on CNN? Made Scott Jennings look like the asshole that he is, the lying MAGA, bullshit artist that he is. Did you see him eviscerate him when he's turning around and he's just laying out facts? And then you get Scott, well, no, that's not exactly the way that it goes. It is amazing that CNN, and then he really ended up smashing Scott Jennings when he said, I don't understand why CNN is even paying Scott Jennings as a commentator. I have been saying that now for months upon months. Every time I would see him sit there talk, no matter what it is about me, he's got something negative to say. He's on the Trump payroll. And why the Trump payroll is being paid by CNN, again, I'm scratching my head. I can't figure it out.
And that's their attempt to both sides the issue. And there is no both sides, as you've said, to the truth. We've showed you a lot of Donald Trump clips. Let me show you President Biden in Normandy before an actually very large crowd. President Biden visiting the same cemetery that Donald Trump refused to show up at, where Donald Trump called those who died fighting for our country suckers and losers. And that's according to Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly. And President Biden gave a very powerful speech. Before showing you, though, President Biden's powerful speech, I want to show you the RNC propaganda that the media is running with. And so they take a millisecond out of President Biden's day where President Biden is sitting down on his chair. And it's a fairly normal, I guess you can say slightly slower than average sitting down, but President Biden sits down on the chair. It is altered by the RNC to make it look like he doesn't know how to sit down. And then they cut it off where he sits down. And then all the right-wing propaganda pushes that moment, not the powerful speech.
By the way, not as good, though, Ben, as Midas Touch Network's revealing of Donald Trump waving outside of Trump Tower to no one, right? And pretending that he's being applauded. I mean, bravo to you guys for putting that out. But go ahead.
I just want to put out accurate clips. Do we have the clip of what the right-wing media was pushing? If so, let's just show you that right now. We'll show it on a little bit of a loop so people can see. On one side, the propaganda, on one side, what actually took place. Let's show it.
Lloyd J. Austin III, Secretary of Defense of the United States of America. Lloyd J. Austin III, Secretary of Defense of the United States of America. Lloyd J. Austin III, Secretary of Defense of the United States of America.
And they just spew falsehoods. Let me show you what President Biden actually said. This is what right-wing media doesn't want you to see. And frankly, that corporate media won't show you. But of course, we're going to show you here on Political Beatdown. These aren't the unhinged ranting and ravings about the late, great Hannibal Lecter or Al Capone, or rather be eaten by a shark than be electrocuted, and just the weird stuff that makes up 99% of the Trump events. 99% of a Biden speech is just like this. Let's play it.
Theirs has always been the story of America. Just walk the rows of this cemetery as I have. Nearly 10,000 heroes buried side by side. Officers and enlisted, immigrants and native-born, different races, different faiths, but all Americans. All served with honor when America and the world needed them most. Millions back home did their part as well. From coast to coast, Americans found countless ways to pitch in. They understood our democracy is only as strong as all of us make it together. The men who fought here became heroes, not because they were the strongest or toughest or most fiercest, although they were, but because they were given an audacious mission, knowing, every one of them knew, the probability of dying was real. But they did it anyway. They knew, beyond any doubt, there are things that are worth fighting and dying for. Freedom is worth it. Democracy is worth it. America's worth it. The world is worth it. Then, now, and always. The war in Europe didn't end for another 11 months. But here, the tide turned in our favor. Here, we proved the forces of liberty are stronger than the forces of conquest. Here, we proved that the ideals of our democracy are stronger than any army or combination of armies in the entire world. We proved something else here as well: the unbreakable unity of the Allies.
Powerful speech, and that's just for all of the time that the media devotes to showing Donald Trump in front of the courthouse or Donald Trump saying this unhinged thing. Other than the Midas Touch Network, you won't see that clip that we just shared with you. On the Brother podcast later today, we're going to go through a ton more of the Biden clips, but that's what a president's supposed to sound like. That's what a president's supposed to do. It's not about, saying Hannibal Lecter this and electrocution and windmills. That's not what politics is. That's weird. That's deranged. It's unhinged. Not okay. What a president's supposed to do is exactly what President Biden did. And through the corporate media normalizing Trump's behavior, not highlighting President Biden's accomplishments, whether it's infrastructure, inflation reduction, the CHIPS Act, the PACT Act, go through all of the stuff that he's done, major pieces of legislation, reducing prescription drug price costs. The media doesn't focus on that. They want to both sides of it, but we won't let that happen here, Michael Cohen. And that's why I wanted to show that clip of Biden.
And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to do something which is a little bolder, believe it or not, than what I generally would do on behalf of all Americans. That includes Republicans, MAGA maniacs, independents, Democrats, every single American. On behalf of all of them, on today, the 80th anniversary of D-Day, we thank each and every member of the armed service, those who unfortunately, their families that are celebrating these heroes, those that are in the military right now, protecting our democracy day in and day out, so that assholes like Von Schitzenpants can say the stupid shit that he does. We thank you from the bottom. You are not losers, right? You are heroes. You are the true heroes of this country, because without you, we wouldn't exist. So we honor you today and every day. And anybody that refuses to go and to pay homage to where the bodies of those who lost their lives to protect our freedom and the freedom of the world, all right, those who refuse to do that because they're going to get their comb over wet, again, the two-finger salute goes to them. So to you, our brave warriors, our brave Americans, heroes, we thank you from the bottom of our heart. And we will not allow autocracy to rule over democracy ever. Not in your honor.
Everybody, make sure you check out store.midastouch.com to get the best pro-democracy gear out there. These were now exhibits featured in the cross-examination of Michael Cohen by Donald Trump's sloat, the stupidest lawyer of all times, Todd Blanche, who cross-examined Michael Cohen about the Midas Touch store. And Michael Cohen says, sorry, I'm not the owner of that store. But it's store.midastouch.com, and you can get the Mar-a-Lardo Correctional Facility gear. Don't get there's so many fakes out there. Do not go to the fakes. Go to the source. Store.midastouch.com. Get that gear, 100% union made, 100% made in the U.S. Some more breaking news. It's about 11 individuals who are on stretchers now as a result of the heat in Arizona and Trump making people wait on lines. Trump has not acknowledged it in his Arizona speech so far.
You've acknowledged it more than he has. How funny is that?
Yeah, 11 before the event started. Horrific stuff. Because I care about basic humanity. I don't care if you are hurt like that and you're suffering. I don't care. It's a sad thing for me.
Hey, can I also, Ben, just ask everyone to please, as soon as you finish with this, please subscribe, listen, share Mea Culpa podcast. My first one back is now with Norm Eisen. You are going to hear some things because Norm was in the courthouse every single day, at least every day that I was there on the stand. I saw Norm in the courtroom, staring at me, watching intently, taking notes and so on. It is a amazingly raw and unfiltered conversation. Mea Culpa podcast on the Midas Touch RSS feed. It's the one with the blue banner. So if you do me a favor, go there, subscribe, listen, rate, share. Make sure that you hear the one with me and Norm Eisen. It's fabulous.
Michael Cohen and I will be holding another exclusive Zoom meeting on either Monday or Tuesday of next week. We're going to confirm the time on our Patreon feed. So if you were not able to meet Michael Cohen on our last Patreon, which was an incredible time, make sure you don't miss it the next time. We'll try to do it at a slightly different time. Try to do it at different times throughout the day in case there's certain times that don't work for you. But go right now, patreon.com/political beatdown. Sign up. It helps grow the show as well. And then in the feed in the next day or two, we'll post the secret link for the meeting with Michael Cohen and myself. And then you'll be able to ask Michael Cohen the questions that you've always wanted to ask him. So check that out, patreon.com/political beatdown. I want to thank everybody for watching. We're really grateful for your support. This isn't possible without you. Reminder that the Brother podcast is tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Check that out as well. Thank you to our pro-democracy sponsors. You can check them out. The discount codes are in the description. That helps our network as well support those pro-democracy sponsors. We really appreciate them. And thank you for everything you do, Midas Mighty and Beatdown Brigaders. We'll see you next time on Political Beatdown. Hopefully we see you at patreon.com/political beatdown for our next meeting. I know Cohen hopes to see you, and have a wonderful day and keep doing what you're doing for democracy. Shout out to the Brigaders. Shout out to the Midas Mighty.
Boom.